to see you.
Your hat is amazing.
Oh, wow, that is amazing.
When on the press junket, people asked us, how did, the Edward Snowden thing clearly influenced this? And we said, well, we wrote it before we knew anything about that. I think it was, Ferris Bueller coming out of the shower, and I went, whoa, there could be more? Of course, Return of the Jedi is one of my favorite Part 3s ever. Even The Search for Spock, the Friday the 13th movies. Weird example as compared to the MCU.
Not dissimilar for what the students of Hogwarts would go through each of their years, which was one of the early ideas we had for the movies.
And go back to Richard Donner's Superman with Gene Hackman and with Marlon Brando. There is a tradition of great actors stepping into roles like this.
Of course, in particular, Superman the movie is still to this day the archetype of the perfect superhero film origin story. And we watch it before we make almost any one of our films. And that's been the case for the past 17 years.
They kind of saw T'Challa as potentially being their James Bond. And I think what they meant by that was...
When you did the Winter Soldier, I remember reading that you were inspired by the 70s kind of thrillers.
Yeah, Civil War to us is a psychological thriller, at least the components of it. So we looked at films like Seven and Fargo for these, those elements of a psychological thriller. We looked at The Godfather, which has multiple characters who each have arcs that get pulled through the film. So we really looked at how Coppola was jumping back and forth between each story, weaving them into a unified whole.
There were 70s thrillers, Parallax View, 3 Days of Condor, French Connection. We've seen The French Connection a million times.
I'd known Kevin Feige from the time I was developing Fantastic Four, and a movie like Ant-Man, there are a lot of things going on. I mean, it's definitely a superhero movie. It's got the structure of a heist movie.
It's a comedy, it's a heist movie.
Kevin Feige was asked about the tone of the new Spider-Man film, and he replied, "It's the soap opera in high school and those supporting characters that are interesting. We haven't seen a John Hughes movie in a long time."
We're writing the new Spider-Man movie.
It's sort of a John Hughesian take at Peter in high school.
Hey guys, you ever seen that really old movie, Empire Strikes Back?
Okay, you ever see this really old movie, Aliens?
Speaking with The Hollywood Reporter, Joe Russo explained how Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige's thoughts on Civil War evolved, especially after Warner Brothers announced Batman vs. Superman.
Even though they're a lot more similar than anyone would like to admit, featuring a non-superpowered villain, tricking a symbol of America into fighting a billionaire playboy, using an incoherent plan that includes blowing up a meeting of government officials, and using the heroes' moms to manipulate them.
Save Martha!
I don't care. He killed my mom.
That ends with an ominous warning from a prison cell and sets up a universe worth of spin-offs along the way. Uh-oh.
I also love shawarma.